Okay, so we're gonna learn a new strategy. It's called the paraphrasing strategy, and it's gonna help you to kind of put things into your own words after you read it. So what we're gonna do is first step is we're gonna read a paragraph, or a section of it, and then we're gonna ask what are the main ideas and details, and then we're gonna put the main idea and at least two details into your own words. So it kind of stands for RAP, R-A-P. Read a paragraph, ask what the main ideas are, put them into your own words. So we have an article called Adaptive Athletes, and we're going to kind of use this strategy as we go through it. So if you don't mind, we'll kind of alternate pages on who reads, but I'll start us out. Well, do you know anything about adaptive athletes to start out with?
Not really.
Do you know what an adaptive athlete is? Like just even by looking at the cover, can you tell?
Maybe they got injured or something, and maybe they probably got injured and now they can play it. Maybe they created a sport like that so they can play it.
Yeah. And yeah, you can see in this one, what sport does it look like they're playing?
Basketball.
Basketball, and they're all sitting in wheelchairs. So, yep. Okay. All right. Do you know this sport? Is this
Fencing, I think.
Yeah, fencing. So in what way? So it looks like they're going to focus on what ways are adaptive athletes great competitors. So these are words that we'll come across. We'll come across ability, adaptive, amputated. Do you know what amputated is?
Yep.
Okay. Competitive, disability, mobility, paraplegia, prestigious, prosthetic, rehabilitate, striving, and venues. Okay. And this is our table of contents. We see that there's an intro, history of Paralympics, the 2012 Summer Olympics and Paralympics in London. At the top of their game, Amy Purdy, blind athletes, exoskeletons, achieving excellence. So those are, and then there's a glossary at the end. But, okay, so here's the introduction. First off, I can see that there's a picture. It says, young dancers perform for the crowd during the opening ceremony of the 2008 Paralympic Games in Beijing, China. That's pretty cool. All right, so introduction. People have always admired athletes, especially those who excel at their sport. We admire natural talent and the ability to perform under pressure. Yet, even the most gifted athletes must sharpen their skills with practice. The best athletes usually spend years working to be better, with the goal of becoming the best. Many people who have a physical or mental disability are athletes as well. For years, though, rules kept disabled athletes from Olympic competition, but not anymore. Today, the Paralympic Games bring them to center stage. Since 1960s, athletes with physical disabilities have competed in the Parallel Olympics, or Paralympics. These competitors are known as adaptive athletes. Some of them are missing arms or legs. Others use wheelchairs. Still, others are blind. Yet all these top athletes have shown that with desire and hard training, almost any disability can be overcome. So I read this section. If I were going to kind of walk you through this, I see there's some details. There's lots of practice that goes into being in the Olympics, for sure. And I also see another detail that for a long time, people with disabilities weren't able to be in the Olympics because of their disability, but not anymore. They have the Paralympics. And they could be considered an adaptive athlete for many reasons, like missing arms, legs, blind, or in a wheelchair. So if I was going to look at a main idea, what do you think a main idea for this page would be?
Athletes and, or no, wait.
It could be something as simple as like, even though people with disabilities weren't able to be in the Olympics many years ago, they now have the Paralympic Games. Because it kind of talks about previous, how they weren't able to, and now they can. So that's what I would say would be a good main idea. All right. Will you read this page for me?
The idea of Olympic Games came from ancient Greece, where athletic contests were held every 4 years. The games were stopped in
AD.
AD 393, but were brought back more than 15,000 years later. 241 athletes from 14 countries met in Athens, Greece, to compete in 43 events. And first Paralympics began about 50 years later. The games grew out of program in Great Britain started by a doctor named Sir Ludwig Gutmann. The program was designed to rehabilitate World War II combat veterans with spinal injuries. Gutmann's goal was to try his games into a prestigious completion, like the Olympics, and that is exactly what happened. Nations around the world joined in the Paralympic movement. Should I read that too? Okay. The first official Paralympic Games were held in 1960 in Italy, just after the Rome Summer Olympics. The 1960 Games included about 400 athletes from 23 nations. Like that too.
Perfect. Well, you see that there's a picture. That is Dr. Ludwig Gutmann. And it says he addresses the competitors at the opening ceremony of the 1964 Games in Tokyo, Japan. Okay, so what are some details or things that you remember from this page?
That it was 40, or wait, how many? That over 400 athletes went to the Olympics, and there was like more than 40 events. And, they came from World War II, the injured vets.
Yeah.
And
do you remember anything about ancient Greece or Athens? No. Well, if we look back at the first paragraph, it says 241 athletes from 14 countries met in Athens, Greece.
Oh, so it must have been like where they held it.
Yep, and that was kind of, so they kind of had competitions way, way back when. It said AD 393. But